Well, good morning YouTubers and welcome back to the David Swordplay channel. Now this morning we're sitting in Brian's kitchen in Wigan in the northwest of the UK, and we're going to be talking to Brian about his very first road going motorcycle. So first thing, good morning Brian.
Good morning, David.
How and why did you get into motorcycling?
Well, when I was like a young lad, I was into bicycles, and I used to look at motorcycles and say, I want one of them, but you couldn't have one till you were 16 at the time, you see.
Yeah.
So I used to deliver newspapers round about, and there was a dealership called Rogers's Motorcycle, which is MCO now.
Right.
And I used to deliver a newspaper next door when I was about 14, 15.
So that's MCO Motorcycle Centre Oral, isn't it?
Yes, it's Oral, yeah.
Yeah.
That used to be Rogerson's
Right.
when I was a young lad. And I used to have my nose pressed on the window looking at these motorcycles.
Right.
And at the time it was the Triumph 3TA.
Right.
In a lovely blue, they call them a bathtub.
Right.
I couldn't afford one.
Right.
I think they were about 350 quid at the time.
Right. Okay, so you were looking to get a motorcycle, and what age were you at that time?
Then I was about 15.
Right. Okay.
So, and about that time, I met my wife, Margaret, at the time, 15,
Yeah.
at the foreground, in the
Yeah.
town, like you do when you're a youngster.
Yeah.
But I still wanted the motorcycle. And I had really top class push bikes, and used to keep up with the bus when Margaret waving to me on the back of the bus. Till one day I put the brake on and ran in the back of the bus. So that was history, and I thought, I'm getting a motorcycle.
Right.
So I sold my bike and all my bits.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was an apprentice joiner, which wasn't my first job.
Right.
So,
So can I ask you then, what was your wage at the time?
£1, 17 and sixpence.
And that was for 45 hours?
Up Saturday dinner time, you used to have to work till Saturday
Right.
dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
So £1,
17 and sixpence.
shillings, okay.
And all my friends went into mines and pits, and they all had 3 times more money than me.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad kept saying, you need a trade. So you've always something to fall back on when you get older.
Right.
So I used to do foreigners, and we as foreigners then was full time and used to get paid in Iran.
Yeah.
And I saved and saved and saved.
Right.
And eventually, the time came when my mother and dad, after a lot of persuading, let me to have this motorcycle.
Right. So which motorcycle are you talking about?
Well, this was the first one,
Yeah.
road legal I ever had.
Yeah.
My father, he didn't even have a licence for a dog.
Right.
And off we go to the motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about the paper or whatever, but he had to sign for you
Right.
and pay your deposit and whatever, and then the rest was up to you. You had to make sure you did your payments on it.
Right. So you were 15 at this?
No, 16.
16 now, okay.
So we go into the shop, and it used to be called Foster's of Wigan.
Right.
There used to be 2 main dealers in Wigan then, was Foster's and Miller's.
Right.
And they did VSA, Norton's, Triumphs and things
Right.
like that. So I thought I was getting a wonderful bike with this VSA 250. and it was called a C10L.
Right.
With me being only a young lad, I had no idea what I was buying,
No.
but it was a motorcycle.
Right.
So we go to the shop, they stuck L plates on, my dad got on the back and I rode it home. And I'd never rode a motorbike before. So you couldn't do that today.
No. So what horsepower was it then?
Oh, I don't know, probably if it was 20 if it was lucky. But you didn't look then.
No.
But what I did, like I started with my tinkering days, I did all the tinkering with bikes. So we lived in a council house at the time, which happened to have an outhouse, like a little brick building.
Yeah.
So that was my garage when I got it in there. So I took the head off and I did what we did at that time, as you know, David. I gas flowed the heads.
Yeah.
Get all the things and all. It was only a side valve, but it helped.
Yeah.
You know, and tinking and kept doing and changing.
Right. So this was a second-hand bike?
Yes, it wasn't a new one.
Can you remember what price it was?
I would think at the time, if it was 150 quid maybe.
Right. How many miles did it have on the...
Oh, I couldn't remember that. But it was
Just-
pretty new.
Yeah.
You know, it may be only about 12 months old.
I think we should just point out at this moment in the interview that Brian is approaching his 85th birthday. So he's been riding bikes a long time, and there's not many bikes that Brian hasn't owned or ridden.
Correct.
So going back to your BSA C10L,
Yeah.
right?
Well, this bike was one of those bikes where you push before, more than you rode it.
Right.
Because breaking down was a natural thing.
Yeah.
But the worst thing, it used to keep breaking spokes.
Right. Not very conducive to good
No,
riding.
and I would set out my friends who had the BSA C15s. One had a Ducati 250, one had a Panther, another lad had, what did he have, an Indian at the time, but I'd never heard of Indians then.
No.
And we'd be set off, and I'd say, I'll have to go home. Because it was like this, the bike was whizzing about on the back end, and Margaret said, what's wrong with it? I said, spokes have gone again. So going back to Mr. Rogerson, I went up to him, and he said, bring your wheel in, Brian, to me. And he said, I'll sort that out for you.
Right.
And he sent it away, and he had heavy-duty spokes for it.
Right.
And that cured it. It didn't make the bike any better, but it cured it, you know.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then I got in town. There used to be a laddie called Mike Westhead Motorcycles, and I used to go there, and he like adopted me kind of thing,
Okay.
and he let me tinker with things and show me how to do things in the garage. And I had this BSA 250, and when weekends used to come, he used to loan me a motorcycle out the shop,
Right.
because that thing I had was no use.
Right.
And I couldn't keep up with my mates, you see.
Okay.
And some of them came from business families. So when they had done, we used to do day release from school, from to the college, on a full day, and then 2 evenings. Well, we used to skip the evenings, you know, and just turn away on the bikes.
Right.
And I used to go for this lad, Mike Westhead, into Manchester, Deansgate, for bits and pieces,
Right.
on a little Dot Scrambler out the shop,
Right.
for parts, and I loved it.
And what did DOT stand for, if I can remember?
It-
Devoid of trouble, was it?
Yeah,
Or something like
and they were
that.
made in Manchester.
Yeah. Yeah.
With 2-stroke Williams in them. It was
Right.
really nice. Earl's Fort, really lovely little thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And
So you didn't really ride your own bike much then?
no, I and bottom off mine.
Right.
And he said, it's time you got a different bike, right? I said, I can't afford a bike. I said, I can't. He said, I'll find you one. So time went by and I was helping him in the shop and doing foreigners and saving up and getting money, so I got a bit of money at one side. He said, I've got 2 bikes coming in, Brian. This was my second bike,
Right.
what I got. He said, I've got 2 bikes coming in. He said, and they belong to these 2 fellas, which I thought they were old men at the time.
Right.
They were probably in the 40s or 50s. And I thought, they'd be old men. And he said, first appearance, don't be disappointed. He says, because they don't clean them. But they do service them regular, and every 2 or 3 years, they change them. And he said, they cover them with Vaseline all over.
Right.
So he said, there were no rust issues or nothing. So he said, the 2 both coming in, they're about the same mileage. So he said, you can take your pick.
Right.
He says, take one home, get your gunk out of your hose pipe at home, give it a good clean, and then see what you think.
Okay, so we'll go back to your second bike in the next interview. So let's talk about this C10L.
All right. Right.
So when it was riding, what were the faults that you used to have on it besides the spokes? Everything?
No, nothing really.
Yeah.
That was the main issue.
Yeah.
Because I maintained everything else
Okay.
and kept doing the engine, but it just hadn't got any get up and go.
Right. Did you have Margaret on the back at this time?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so when it came to licensing, did you have to pass a bike test?
Yes.
Right. And this was in 1950?
56, 57 probably when I passed the test.
57 when you passed your test. Okay.
And that was an experience.
I'll bet. Well, go on, tell me about that then.
Well, you used to go into the town centre, and there's like where the municipal buildings are, and there's a road goes all the way around it. So the man used to come to you and said, no, I want you to go, keep riding round. You ride round in this circle round. It would probably be half a mile round, that's all.
Yeah.
And I think he was going in for the Queen's Award for bravery because he said, I will jump out in front of you at one point and you have to stop. And I thought, good luck with that one. Anyway, I would go on, that's all he did. And you rolled round, he walked round.
Right.
Then you did the emergency stop with him, a few questions, and that was it.
Right. Did you have indicators on the bike then?
No.
Just
Yeah, your hands. I'll tell you that, being an apprentice joiner,
Yeah.
I didn't have a carrier on the back at the time,
Yeah.
till a bit later. So we used to carry our tools in what was called a bass. Your dad would know what I meant. And it was like an half moon sack like that with 2 string through.
Yeah.
And then you stick that on the tank.
Right.
And you would come up to the things when I was coming home to the latch at the top.
Yeah.
And you stick your hand out, you know, so you ride that, your hand was off your throttle, so it was like kind of rolling, and then you had to grab the throttle and get round the corner, and a bag of tools on the tank, you know, and you think, what you used to do.
So what was the top speed of this C10 then?
Yeah, probably about 50, I bet, if you were lucky at the time.
Yeah.
Because if you notice on that little picture, it's had the same speed though as a BSA Bantam.
Right.
I think it only went up to 60.
Yeah. We'll put the picture up on the screen.
I can't remember, you know, it's so long ago.
Oh, yeah.
I bet it only went up to about 60.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than your wheel, it was quite a reliable bike then for you?
Yeah, engine-wise,
Yeah.
it kept popping.
Did it leave its little mark everywhere?
Well, as they all did, yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't horrendous,
Yeah.
because I used to take things off
Yeah.
and put gasket, and we used to have that, it was like an orange coloured, it's not silicone like today, but it was like gasket goo.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it was orange, it looked like red lead.
Yeah.
And you could see the orange juice come through the casings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But apart from that,
Yeah.
you know, it was all right.
And the tyres were a bit rudimentary at the time, weren't they?
Well, they were like made out of plastic, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were hard and narrow.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had such fun on it.
Mm.
Mark and myself coming up through the village at the top, and she said, I've lost my scarf, Brian. And you know where that little cafe is where we go up the top?
Yeah, yeah.
We just made that right turn into there,
Right.
and it come to a grinding stop. And you know where the scarf was, don't you?
Yeah.
It was in the chain.
Yeah.
On the chain was like a piece of steel, which had stopped the bike.
Right.
Yeah. So we had so much fun on it.
Well, that's the main thing. And how
Yeah.
long did you have that bike for?
Probably a couple of years.
A couple of years.
Till I could afford, only through this friend of mine, a motorbike lad,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to afford one.
Right.
But like I said, with these lads were all had business, and if they passed their exempt on that, they came back, they got a new motorcycle. Well, my mother and dad couldn't let me have a new motorcycle.
No.
And I said to Margaret, I'm not being beaten with all these. So I used to work my little socks off every weekend and doing jobs and getting money at one side,
Yeah.
till eventually I got them.
So that's where your love of motorcycling started.
That's where it started.
Okay, so in our next little interview, we'll talk about your second bike. But for the moment, thanks a lot, Brian. There's some nice
Yeah.
little stories in there. And obviously, the roads weren't as busy then, were they, as they are today?
Oh no.
No.
Well, down here there was no lights.
No.
There
No.
was no house. All these houses here weren't here.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it there. This is David from David's Swordplay, thanking Brian for that little story.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
And
I have a lot of stories.
I'm sure you do, and we're trying to get them all on video as much as we can. So thanks for that, Brian, and this is David's Swordplay saying thanks for watching. If you did like the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and we'll catch you in the next video.